People. What's going on? It's been a minute. And I'm all out of place. I'm doing everybody's job because I done went rogue. But I had a lot on my mind, man, and I had to come holler at y'all. I had a lot on my mind, and I had to come holler. So, if you check in, just shout me out. Shout out to the crew. I went rogue. Shout out to Deacon Producer. Shout out to the First Lady. Shout out to La. And shout out to Rima, the therapist. I went rogue. I went totally rogue on everybody. I just had a lot on my mind, but we definitely gonna get back with y'all and wrap up how the summer went for everybody. Definitely wrap up that event and the Old Timers event and all the rest of the festivities. We're gonna wrap that up. But I just want to ask y'all a few questions if y'all checking in, and if you haven't, check the last feed on our page, Sunday Night Vibes page. There's a video up there. When this man is at, yo, big bro, what's going on? I see you, Casanova Bliznak. Long time I ain't heard from you, bro. Glad to see you okay. You got to check that piece that I put out on the show's page, man, where there was a man who was a conservative, came to a college, I think somewhere in Texas, one of the Texas universities. And he's advocating for the dismantling of the DEI, the diversity, equity, inclusion thing. That's sort of like the neo affirmative action bill for sure. And he was arguing with the young brother taking the position that I just want everybody to listen to it, man. But I know a lot of times we don't even have 20 minutes to listen to certain things, at least things that we not into. But we in bad shape, man, and that's why I just came on, because I was listening to this guy, and so much of what he said was valid and true. You would have to listen to it to understand where I'm coming from and where I'm going with this right now. But so much of what he said was valid and true. There was a few things that he said. His belief was that, people shouldn't be getting jobs or getting placed in, academic institutions based on the color of their skin. They shouldn't get extra merit or credit. It should be based on their, actually it should be based on their validity of their merit and nothing more. Like if it's test scores, then it should be test scores that are equal to their peers, not, getting nothing off the strength. So basically DEI is like, a neo-affirmative action, like I said. So I don't know, man. But in the process of him saying what should and should not be around DEI was him explaining his own idea about what blacks need to do. And some of it was right. It didn't sound good, but it was right. He knew his audience. He knew that he was in a university, which is full of young people. All universities are full of young people that are looking to come out and claim their place in the world, as adequate, effective young human beings that's looking up to come to apply everything they learned in school and be something in the world, something positive and good based on their skill sets. So he knew his audience, and the audience kind of applauded him at certain points, but there were certain points that he grazed over and he spoke ill about, in my humble opinion. He was saying that there is no more systemic racism. And the young kid who I applaud, if I was his parents, the young kid, you got to go watch it, man. The clip is up on our page. The young kid, I applaud him because if I was his parent, I would be very proud. because he stood his ground. He wasn't the young kid, I'm saying. He stayed even toned, even when he was attacked and smacked with sarcasm and condescending tones from this elder, this guy who the conservative guy who spoke to him was obviously an elder, older than him. But he stayed his ground. You guys got to see it. I'm gonna say that 50 million times. But what I'm gonna say 2 times for sure. In the beginning, right now, I'm gonna say this. Yo, there is nobody coming to save us, man. There is nobody coming to save us, man. Don't look for it, because there is nobody coming to save us. I'm going to end with that too. When I get to my end, I'm going to end with that. There is nobody coming to save us. You know, I'm speaking about us in society as a black group, as a black community. We all over the place. And now you have people who are, feeling strong and confident about saying you all over the place, and it's your responsibility for being all over the place. That's what they're saying. Black people, you're all over the place, and it's your responsibility. You're the reason why you're all over the place. And I can't say I don't agree with him to a large degree, but part of his argument was that systemic racism doesn't exist. That was part of his argument. And that whatever happened to you 60 years ago, because the kid said, come on, we just now started to get on our own and earn money for ourselves. Like he said, in the 60s, we weren't even able to own in the way that it is now. So, and then he said, how, and then the man asked the kid, well, how in the 60s, how does the 60s affect you now? That doesn't affect you now. Right now, today, that doesn't affect your life. You're right here in college. You're doing good. And that doesn't affect you. And the kid said, of course the 60s affect me. Of course, being brought over here as slaves and enduring slavery, Jim Crow, segregation, mass incarceration affects me right now. Even me, myself, who didn't experience it personally. And the man said, no, it doesn't. And, he was very hardcore with his statistics about who's doing better in the world today, which groups, Asian groups leading in uniformity and material growth, and the rise of the Hispanic groups in material growth. And he made it his business to point out that black folks are poorer. These are the words he used. That's why you got to listen to language. He said the black folks are poorer than they were during the civil rights movement times in the 60s. He asked the kid to explain to me. He said, the kid, explain to me, why are black people poorer than they were in the 60s? And, it's hard for a young man. He had to be about 20 or 21 to kind of reflect on that on the spot and give that an answer, a sound answer. Hold on, what this is Niche says, DEI doesn't apply to us. We do not benefit from nepotism or buying spaces. We earn it and work twice as hard. No, 100%. 100%. But this guy, I don't even know his name, man. I blanked on his name. This guy, was just, casting DEI as something, almost as affirmative action. He even made an explicit reference to affirmative action. But it's crazy. So I don't want to lose my train of thought. But he was saying, you guys are the reason why, and why you broke now, more broke than you were before. Now we could go on and on about that. Why are black people farther down the ladder than they were in the 60s? we can go on and on about that from all different angles and accept responsibility and also point to some things. But I had this to say about this guy using his empirical evidence, his facts, stats, and data. Reminded me of my man Denny Den. If Denny Den, you see this, or if you want to point Denny Den, he definitely reminded me of you, man, with his facts, stats, and data. But the thing is, right, for some of us who are a little bit learned and not really, baffled by language of certain people and who are critical in thought, you can't really pull things over our eyes that quickly. And you definitely can't do that when you're talking about an entire race. He shouldn't even felt so confident and cool to do that. But one of the things that's critical to understand here, right, is as much as he was using statistics, saying the Latino community this and the Asian community that, and you could be 100% right, man. You could be 100% right. My thing is this. There was a reason why, academia in America started to turn towards the social sciences. There's a reason why they legitimize social sciences in academia. Because facts, stats, and data doesn't always explain phenomena. It doesn't. Not the hardcore facts, stats, and data. It just doesn't. And I used to make that argument to Denny when he used to be speaking about women and the man left the house. Denny, I hope you see this. And when you do see this, go watch that man video, because the video with that man in it, because at the end of the day, right, the man was saying that part of the responsibility for your condition and your material disadvantage, Black people, is that you guys are lacking fathers in the household. And I agree with him. I agree 100%. And that's why I said ain't nobody coming to save us but us, man. I agree with him. But where I differ at is where he said that the times of slavery, discrimination, and now what I think is strong exploitation and even more dangerous and subtle is coercion, right? That has rendered real practical effects, material effects, effects that leave material impact on people. Specifically, he didn't speak of the race to incarcerate. He didn't speak on the flooding of the community with drugs at a certain time, and like the conservative argument now, you got to pay attention. You got to pay attention. This is why I said we in trouble. You got to pay attention, people. Look, the conservative agenda now is to remove the history from the history books, the history of slavery from the history books. It's like Trump said, America's done too much great to just have slavery marked in it, which is crazy. It reminded me of this, right? When people make that argument, let's just forget about slavery. Let's pick it up right now where we at. I understand it a little bit, because if you can't resolve it to where people who were enslaved can consent and say, okay, you did good. If you say reparations, you give reparations, who's going to say, okay, we accept reparations, this is enough? So if it's not enough to resolve it, it's going to keep going. The argument will keep going. So that's why conservatives are like, yo, let's just stop talking about slavery. Like, it's over. And think about today. And in part, I agree with you, right? I agree with, we need to focus on today, but I don't agree with let's forget about it like it don't have lasting impacts on generations. No, I don't believe that. No, absolutely not. I don't believe that. No, I don't believe that a group of people, a race of people who were forced to come here and forced to work and till and develop the land wasn't impact and didn't get, not their fair part of it materially or immaterially in the consequent years, no, I can't go for that. I can't go for that. I can go for the fact that we need to be accountable for ourselves right now. But when people look, what I meant to say is this, right? It reminded me of my ex-girlfriend. And I didn't understand what she used to tell me until I heard this from this guy today. Well, I understood it, but not in this way. I heard my ex-girlfriend say, when you fellas, if you ever got in an argument with your girl for something you did, you was wrong, you shouldn't have did it, and she mad and she pissed off, and she got a reason to be mad, but you just want to get over it because you like, yo, you minimize it, and you like, yo, man, that ain't nothing, get over it. You still bringing that up, get over it. My ex told me one time, it's always easy for the person who actually is responsible for the damage to want to get over it and push it under the rug and put it behind everybody. You know what I mean? Like, yo, let's get over it, put it behind you, let's move forward. It's easy for you to do that when you were the culprit. And he kept talking to the young brother, this guy who I keep referencing, he kept talking to the young brother saying, you want to stay in the victimhood. And even all the people in the comments, they're like, yo, if he trying to be a victim, and that's where it gets real slippery at, and you got to really be careful. You can acknowledge facts of history and facts of things without being a victim, without remaining a victim. You were a victim in that moment. Your ancestors were a victim, but you don't have to be a victim now, but you still can acknowledge that there's a victim. Hold on, let me read a comment. And he says, he didn't speak on anything that would appropriate that young man's position. They use hood to represent the entire black race, while simultaneously hiding their drug-filled trailer parks. Come on. No, for sure, they definitely use the hood. I'm going to give you another thing that he used in the end. He said, Africa, right? He said, because the kid said, I didn't come here by choice. You know what I mean? He said, the Asians are doing well. It's so loaded. And forgive me for just jumping all around the place, but it was so loaded. I just got to get it off my chest. Maybe we could talk about it at another time, but, he spoke about the absentee black fathers, and, no one would agree with him more than me. You know what I mean? Like, our black young men need us. Our sons, nephews, little cousins, men, they need us. Point blank, period. We going to hell in a rocket ship until we step up and be accountable in these young men's lives. If you want to look at the future of a nation, you look at his youth. And our youth is in trouble. Also, the guy, he pointed to the leaders of, quote unquote, the leaders of black culture, and he spoke explicitly about athletes, musicians, meaning rappers and stuff, and athletes, musicians, and it was some entertainers. It was something else. So those who are popular, he spoke about those who are popular, and that's what we do. We allow those who are popular, quote unquote, the celebrities now, to become the leaders of the culture. And then they become those who are looked at by people outside of our race and culture as the leaders, as, those the most influential. So they're the best knowers and all of that. We don't look at the wives and husbands, the married couples for 25 years, 30 years as leaders in our community no more. We don't look at that no more, man. So we got to do better. Ain't nothing worse than somebody from another race handing you your ass and telling you stuff that is partially right, that is partially correct. So I receive it in terms of like, yo, we need to do better, man. I know we need to do better, but don't throw rocks and then hide your hands like you're not like you're not responsible for a lot of the damage, psychological and emotional damage that the men from this race have experienced, man. And trauma is passed on. So it's hard to make these bold statements and accusations, but still remove yourself from the victimhood, right? I don't want to stand in victimhood for a number of reasons. But I'm not going to stand on a lie either. I'm not going to stand on the other side and be in a space where it's lies, where we going to say, yo, racism don't exist and slavery doesn't impact the people who are alive today. That's insane. That's insanity to even assume something like that, let alone say it out your mouth boldly. He spoke about rappers being derogatory in their raps and not promoting life, so to speak, but saying things that's really detrimental to one's own community and growth. I agree with it. I agree with it. And I used to be standing on couches, busting bottles in the culture and all of that, for a huge participant of it. You know, Black people love some culture, man. So I agree with it. But the thing is that I'm wise enough to know that not to make a rapper or not to allow my son to have a rapper as his number one idol, forget about that, but as his role model. You know, because he has his father in his life, and his father could tell him, you better model after someone who's making practical impact in people's daily lives, like I make practical impact in yours. You know what I mean? Look across the street at the neighbors who fathers works and who raised his family. You know, that's who I model myself after now. That's where I'm trying to get. I'm trying to get to the point where you grown like his kids are grown and all of them are professionals or becoming professionals. That's where I'm trying to get. So I'm modeling myself after that. I don't want to model myself after no rapper, but I'm at this big age now, so I wasn't always here. But yeah, I'm going all over the place, and you got to forgive me, man. But at the end of the day, we got to get ourselves together. Kudos to that young brother who stood his ground, who didn't get too flustered where he couldn't speak, or didn't get too frustrated where he became ignorant in his speech. You know, so kudos to him. But, you know, I implore you guys to check out that clip and watch it with a careful eye, and also try to listen to the background, right? Listen to the background, and I'm going to tell you I'm going to give you some context. I'm going to give you the stage, how it's set up. Here is a man coming into a space, a university of young people of all races. And he's telling them, you should be hired and you should be awarded based on your merit and character and conduct. For sure. Facts. There's nothing wrong with that. You shouldn't be rewarded based on the color of your skin. I agree. Hold it there. Let me see what my man Casanova saying. You can't scar me, then act like my skin is smooth as silk. It's a constant reminder of the pain I endured. Time heals, but it doesn't make it vanish. How can I get comfortable knowing the threat of me being injured is obvious by the behavior? I can't trust what's been deceiving me from the beginning. The words are not supported by actions that would allow me to be compliant. But I have to be totally transparent on this. No, for real, man. Keep it coming, Casanova. No, for real, Cav, man, because, man, it's a mess, man. And we got to teach, man. We got to teach where we at, from where we at. So, you know, I feel you. I appreciate that response, man, but it's real. You know, you can't dismiss all of that. You want to take the pictures of those backs whipped and that keloid skin of the slaves, you know, you want to take the pictures out of everywhere, out of the books. You don't even want the books no more. You want to remove history. Why? Our history. We don't like it. But if you remove that, then damn, what else? What does a group have? Everybody else came over here. They was running for the piece of the American pie and still trying. All right, cool. But you know, to keep it here, don't make me remain a victim. We ain't remaining a victim. Right now, we victimizing ourselves as a result of the victimization. It's circular, man. It's a cycle. And we got to break the cycle because no one else is breaking it. No one else is breaking it. But he mentioned rap. And the young brother was trying to say that it's culture, and he kept it there. But we could talk about rap for just a second, right? When rap came out, it was very positive. Right? Old school rap, 60s, 70s, very positive. The message, I think, in my opinion, got little, you know, came from left field, you know, and hard. I think, I don't even want to place it on the coast, man. But it came hard at some point, probably the late 80s and early 90s, right? When the group started battling at each other and dissing each other on diss raps and diss records and all of that, it started to get a little hard, right? But from my viewing now, right, there's a lot of rappers who say, yo, man, these labels, you gotta be putting certain stuff out for these labels to even accept it and put it out. You know, my point is this. We didn't control the distribution of rap. We were the entertainers. We were not the business managers in it. More recently, you became CEOs, far and few, and then you got some got rich, the Puffies, the Jay-Z's, the Master P's. There's only a handful, man. There's only a handful. You talking about this big country called America. You talking about a big group of people called blacks. There's only a handful, right? Only a handful that like took crazy advantage of the opportunity and had some control in what was, you know, distributed. Only a handful. My point is this, right? We know who largely controlled rap and labels and put things out. And if it was detrimental to the black culture, why would they care? Right? Why would they care? It's fattening them up and it's keeping the culture confused and at bay. Why would they care, right? Everybody else listens to it for entertainment as it is. We were the only ones listening to it and was like, oh, it's imitating my life. And now I'm imitating the music, going back and forth, interacting in that way. We're the only ones that did that, right? It's just a lot. It's just a lot. You know, the coercion and the exploitation that black people, you know, experience on every level, from consumerism to, you know, just the basic, it's so much, man. You know, I just caught a headache that quick. People, I just want y'all to check the video out and have an opinion. And I want to tell people like this, right? I want to tell people like this. Nobody is coming to save us, man. I want to tell my brothers, all the men, our kids need us, man. The girls, the boys, they need us. They need to be proud of something that you doing, man. Not LeBron James, not Kai Cenat, not Kevin Hart, not Lil Baby. Yo, they need to be proud of something you doing, man. Because you the one who here to impact their life directly. Word. So, you know, that's really all I could say, man. Let me read Niche. I see you. They literally plant those people to solicit us, industry plants. Y'all can fail for the y'all can fall for the sexy red telling you who to vote for if you want. No, for sure. For sure. For sure. Um, it's serious. And the reason why I came on, just because I've been getting overwhelmed, but I got my message today, and that message is for another discussion. It's for another rant that I'll probably do soon. But I'm gonna leave you with a scripture on where that rant is, right? I'm gonna leave you with a scripture that you should just check out, right? And I'm gonna tell you like this. Ephesians 2:2, man. You know, there's a prince of the power of the air, man. Who is the prince of the power of the air? That's misleading the disobedient children, man. It's scripture, man. You that's a whole discussion. So I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm definitely gonna leave it at that. And that's it. I was just checking in, man. I hope everybody all right. If you get to see this, I hope you put something on it. I hope you share your opinion. And I hope we could talk about it later. Like I said, I went rogue. I was in my feelings. I ain't holler at nobody. I talked to a little bit of members of the team earlier today on the chat line, Deacon Producer. I didn't hear from Rima. I hope she all right. So I really don't know. I just went rogue. But for the most part, ain't nobody coming to save us. Nobody's coming to save us. So with that, y'all be easy. Y'all be easy. And y'all stay at peace. Yo, Cav, I really appreciate you, bro. Or you stay on your square. And I appreciate that. Nisha, I appreciate your sound input. Definitely appreciate that. Y'all be easy. Peace, people.